Super excited to have Ruxandra with another Discord live class, and she's gonna show us how to bring Quill content to Mozilla Hubs. So Ruxandra, take it away.
Hi, thank you everyone for joining, and yeah, let's get started. First, we're going to export our assets from Quill. So I know I have them separate in here, but all of the scene is on one layer because actually importing, for example, exporting all of these into an FBX and importing it into Blender and then Spoke, you lose the layers. So it's okay to have all of them on one layer. They're not going to glitch. For example, even here, the way I have these meshes really close together, you will not see any issues with them unless you're on mobile. And, you know, whenever you access Mozilla Hubs rooms on your mobile, you will have other compression issues anyway. So for that, I would say you would need a setting that's even more simpler than what I have right here. So this here should be quite low poly because the maximum amount of polygons that are acceptable on a Mozilla Hubs room is 50K in total. You can go over that. There is no hard cap, but you will start to have performance issues. So it's really good to sort of keep it under 50K. So as you can see here, I get quite close, but it's okay. It's acceptable. It's still in the green whenever we go there. So
did you use mostly the ribbon brush for this stuff, and then sometimes the sphere brush for volumes? But it looks like a lot of ribbon brush, right? Ooh,
so
look at that!
Quite a lot of brushes. I get a bit neat here, where everything is painted just with a flat brush. And I think it's only these two trees that actually have ribbon brushes on them. The rest of them is just, like a cylinder here and then everything flat. So you won't notice it at all. In fact, you won't even notice it here. I actually had these bushes initially. They were all cylinders and spheres and stuff like that, but I imported them in Spoke, which is the platform that you need to be able to publish to Mozilla Hubs. And I didn't see any difference between them. So it was just simpler to get it down like that. I think I could have optimized this a bit more, but we're still fine. So I'm not going to worry about it. Something else I wanted to talk about just before we export and leave Quill. So as you can see here, the trees are sort of leaning towards me. That's because I did a test where everything was on a flat surface, but whenever you publish to Mozilla Hubs, if you're in VR, it will look normal just as it does whenever you build it in Quill. But if you play it in your browser, because the field of view is a little bit wider, and the depth is a bit more exacerbated, then it tends to push these assets down a bit. So you don't end up with the same type of volume here at the top. Kind of tends to squash everything. So I just raised everything outside of this little space here to kind of make up for that distortion. But you'll see what I mean whenever we actually go in. You'll be able to test it yourself, see it in VR, and then also see it in your browser. But I think this is the best way of dealing with that. Okay. So we have our layer, and we're gonna go export. We don't need transforms or animation at the moment, so the color space for the static meshes needs to be gamma. I'll explain later why it's different for animation. So it's export meshes, we don't have animation, we don't need the transforms, gamma. Export. Right? And now we can quit. Okay, so what we do now is go to Blender, delete everything we have in here, and then import our FBX asset. As you can see, it's really tiny, and you could resize it here because I think 1 square is 1 meter, so you can use that to sort of adjust it to the height that you want, but I'm not going to bother with it here because it's more convenient to do it in Spoke. So let's just see. Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open this up and I'm going to just tweak the material for a bit. If I export right now with the default material, it's going to end up looking really shiny and unnatural. So I don't want to kill all the shine. I still want a little bit of specularity, but not too much. So this should look okay. So once you have this done, make sure you do it for both materials. Let me check again. You can do further adjustments of your meshes here if you think you need to. Anything you can do to like optimize further if you wish. If you're happy with what you have, you can just select and go ahead and export it. And it's really important.
So the vertex colors in this case are still preserved, right, when you export it?
Okay. They're still there. I forget which one of the buttons that actually shows you the colors. Yeah, this one you should use to show it. I don't know. I did something, but yeah, the colors are still there.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna select and export as. It's important that you export it as a GLB or a GLTF binary, same thing, so that Mozilla Hubs or Spoke can actually read your file. So we're gonna go here and in here. I'm gonna name it just so I know what it is. Okay. Export, and that's it. You literally do not have to do anything else here. Okay. And what you do is now you go to Google and you type in Spoke, and it should lead you to this page. This is the homepage of it, basically. You log in or you create an account, and then you create a new project. New empty project. And I know it says empty, but by default it comes with skybox, light, spawn point, and a bunch of things that we are going to tweak. But first we're going to get rid of this terrain because we don't need it. And yeah, we can just now simply go to our folder and drag and drop. Yes, so it's really tiny. I'm gonna put it to 0 so it's easy to manage the other assets as well. Okay, so again, I know this looks, it looks like the user will be a little bit smaller maybe than what they should be, but that's because the space will feel more suffocating if it's actually to the normal, like real life size. So I would normally suggest to make the environment just slightly bigger than what you would expect from a life-size environment. Okay, so I'm just going to name my model so I know what it is. Okay, and I'm actually going to disable walkable because, again, I don't want users to be able to walk anywhere in the scene. I want to have specific areas that can be accessed. So, okay. The way you can check okay, so the way I'm going to approach that is I'm going to import a floor base from the architecture kit. And to resize things, So it's the controls are T for moving, transform, R for rotate, and Y for rescaling. And by default, again, the snap mode is on. I think you want to disable it to be able to move things easier. Okay. There isn't it? Let's do this again. There it is. No. I'd say maybe, yeah. That's a good size. I'm gonna just make it a little bit smaller.
Does the size of the square define the walkable space, and if you reach the edge, it stops? Or?
Yeah. So you'll only be able to walk within the within this area. Yeah. You can apply the walkable element on any mesh that you have in your scene, but I kind of like to do it this way because having the floor plan applied to the whole scene will affect the performance. Mm-hmm. And because it is a platform that is accessible on mobile as well, I think it's really important to be as clean and optimized as you can with what you're doing.
So you're saying you could also define the ground plane that you have in Quill. You can export that separately and make that the boundary, but then it might be less performant, right?
Yeah, so you can do that as well. I didn't do it here because my floor is actually a little bit bigger, so you'd be walking into the bushes and all of that.
Yeah,
so,
makes sense.
Yeah. I'm just going to rotate it a little bit. Okay, so you do have these edges where you kind of bump into the bush, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. So I'm just going to leave it as it is and deselect visible. I don't want it to be visible. And deselect everything that you're not going to be needing. Okay.
Edward is asking if you can fall off the edges.
No.
Okay. It just stops, right?
It
just collide.
It just stops. So what I'm going to do now, go to my assets again, where I previously exported some of the assets that I'm going to add in here. I exported them separately. So again, I'm going to just drop this because that exported there. So walkable, I'm going to put it in the same same position and the same scale that I have on my main scene, on my main mesh. And I'm going to turn off visible, but I'm going to allow it to be walkable as well. Collidable, okay, that's fine. And I'm just going to create a group here to put all of my meshes in. So I'm a bit organized. Oh, and this one as well. Okay. Okay, so if you go to floor plan and regenerate, it's actually going to show you kind of where the floor plan applies. But it's not going to be activated on our main scene. Only on this and this. Okay, but if you want to have a look and tweak it, you will notice with some environments, if you have a height change or if the walkable area is very narrow, you'll notice that you'll have issues accessing it. So what you do is you come here and you adjust the height, the radius, the slope when it starts to actually apply it or not. This is really important for stairs, actually. Stairs are quite problematic depending on the height difference. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do now is go to Skybox. Well, actually, yeah, you can tweak some of the Skybox settings from here, but I do like the default. It's not bothering me. It's okay. I'm actually going to go here to our root and enable fog, because I didn't actually paint it in Quill because I knew I would be able to do this in here. So you can set it to linear or exponential depending on what you want. Okay, I'm gonna increase the distance. I mean the near distance. I think exponential might work better, yeah. Okay. And I'm gonna give it a nice sort of sky color. Oh, yeah. So as you can see, it can get quite strong. Maybe too much. Yeah, that's kind of nice. So I'm just gonna leave it like that. So I have a little bit of atmosphere in there. And now I'm going to tweak our direction light. So the direction light that comes with the scene by default, it actually eliminates everything. You have other lights in here and elements that you can use for more specific use cases. But yeah, so I'm going to show you that as well. But first I'm going to position this in a way that I like. Let's see. This isn't so bad because the meshes are quite simple, and I don't have a lot of intersections and stuff, so I don't have to worry too much about the sausage effect or the lathe effect. Yeah, so I think something like this works pretty nicely. Yeah, I kind of like it. I can change the color here just a little bit, give it a bit of warmth, but not too much. Okay.
It looks like they don't cast shadows, right? It's more like a shading thing.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I know it says cast shadow here, but it doesn't apply those ground shadow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it works nicely like this as well as a sort of ambient occlusion, I suppose. It's not too bad. Yep. What you can also do if you want different type of lighting, you can add spotlights, for example. I kind of wanted to show this one because it's immense whenever you bring it in. Oh. So you need to adjust it from all the way here. Okay, rotate. Okay. Let's say something we can actually see. Okay, and then we can go back to the scene and press F to focus, or this. Normally, the bigger the mesh is, the further you'll be, even when you focus. So I'm going to turn this off for a second. Okay, so you can actually see this light. Yeah, this one is a little bit fidgety. There's something else that happens with the spotlight. Whenever, even after you set it up in the scene and you publish and everything, when you come back, if you want to make any other adjustments, it's actually turned off, even though you have it working. It's just a little. It's just something that you should be aware of if you want to go back and tweak your scene. It's still there. You'll just have to input your values. Yeah. So with this one, you can achieve a more targeted type of lighting. I'm not going to use it here. I just wanted to sort of cover it real quick. So I'm going to delete it and go back to my nice soft directional light. This works nicely. You can pair it with the other lights, of course. But it's important to keep in mind that 3 is the ideal number of active lights that you should have in here. For performance reasons, again, there isn't a hard cap on it, so you can still publish. So it is up to you what you sacrifice for what. Okay, that works fine. Oh no, I need this folder. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're going to add a spawner over here. Okay, and by default is the Mozilla Hubs mascot. So what you can do now is either import or select the link of one of your Sketchfab uploads, or you can or you can select a link of one of your assets from here, depending on what you want to achieve. I already imported my sandwich here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it, copy URL, and then just paste it in here. That should update to my sandwich, which is going to be very small. So I need to up its scale. Yep, that's great. And I'm going to place it right there. So what this does is it allows users to come and interact with it. And anytime someone clicks and drags the sandwich, it will generate an instanced version of it that anyone can interact with. So I'm going to do that again on here. And I'm going to copy my cake. So the way I exported these is the same way that I showed with the main scene. I just imported in Blender and exported as GLB. If it's static, that is enough. If it's static meshes. So I'm gonna name these so I know which ones they are. Oop. Ah. There we go. And again, yeah, copy URL, paste it in here, make it the correct size. And I kind of don't want people to see it, to see this cake slice. So I'm going to put it in here. Yep, so now whenever anyone comes here and tries to click on the cake, it'll generate this one slice for them, while leaving the rest of the cake intact, which is ideal, obviously. Okay, and I'm actually going to save the scene. So, save project, and name it. It's more of a campsite, but I'm just going to go with it. Okay. This will immediately generate a scene preview camera. You can adjust it from here yourself, or you can choose an angle that you like in here.
Would that be the default start angle? Or?
Yeah. Oh, no. Sorry, no. This is just the image that people will see whenever you link them the room.
Mm.
And it is also the image that you see whenever you look through your projects. So it's just the cover, basically.
And then the default angle is defined by where the person is standing, right?
Yeah. So this spawn point is going to determine where people appear in the scene, and where they're facing comes with this little arrow here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to just move this spawner here. Yeah, I think that's okay. I'll just rotate it a bit so you get a nice sort of framing of what's happening in the scene. And Okay, so the scene preview camera, you can, as I said, choose an angle that you like, and then just say set from viewport, and it always just updates instantly, and that's fine. So yeah, we're just gonna save again. Yeah. So whenever you go back out, it just shows you this updated image. I'm gonna go back in. Okay, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to add a sound, a background sound, which is this one here. These are all sounds and music that I got off Facebook Sound Collection. So I don't want it to be visible. I don't want it to be controllable. I just want it to be a sort of sound of the scene. So I'll leave autoplay and loop on. And what I'm going to do here is put it in stereo. Panner node allows you to determine the distance that the sound travels to and the sort of area that will allow the user to hear your sound, but stereo will just apply the same sound volume everywhere you are in the scene. So it's omnipresent. So I'm gonna just leave it like that and turn it all the way down to maybe this. It's gonna be quite loud. And you do want people to be able to hear each other, so I'm gonna leave it very low. Yeah, that looks about right. And I'm also going to import this sound, which is just a nice little song. And I'm going to add it here. Whoop. I'm going to place it here inside the little radio that I have. And again, I don't want it to be visible or controllable. Ooh, no, it's fine. And
when you say visible, what you see actually in the scene, like the sound symbol?
Yeah, you see this
really?
little... Yeah.
That's so weird. Why would they do that? Okay.
Yeah, I think it might need a more polished looking icon for it, because it kind of looks like... I do have it in one of the scenes where we're going to go and have a look at. But yeah, it does look like it's not intentionally there. Looks like something you've forgotten.
I would think that's like visual for yourself, but I wouldn't think that it will publish, you know?
Yeah. So, no, it does publish.
Yeah, that's funny.
So I'm going to put it in here and turn off the visibility and the controls. And because I want the sound to be... Oh, sorry, is that me?
No.
Okay. So
I'm going to server mute that person.
Okay. I want the sound to only affect this area here where we have the picnic. So I don't want it to be too overpowering. So you leave it in panner node and you set it to linear. And then you establish the distance that you want it to extend to. So for example, here it says 1 meter. So you probably have to be looking at the person we have here. You probably have to be kind of here to hear the sound, the music. So 5, even 6. No, okay, we'll go with 5. 5 meters is enough.
There's no visual that helps you. You would only have to look at the grid, and 1 grid square is 1 meter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. No, I think the grid here is a little bit different. Yeah, so this this model here, it's like 1.70 meters. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure how. Yeah, okay, we're just gonna move on. And okay, So now the sound, this little song that we have is only going to be affecting this area. And I already see that this is kind of poking out, so I'm just going to tweak it, just push it back in there. I'm going to place these in my mesh group. Move this out of the way as well. We have the sound. Okay. What we're going to do now is save, just in case. And I'm going to go to Elements and add a little particle emitter. Okay.
Omen is asking, if you are spawning the slice of cake inside the bigger cake, how will people see it? Won't it be hidden inside the bigger cake?
Yes, it is. It is hidden, but as I said, I just thought for this one it would work. I thought it would look cute if you just look at the cake and all of a sudden you can click on it and it generates a slice of cake, but the cake is still there uneaten.
So I think the question is, how do people see the slice? Does the slice pop out, or like where does the slice spawn?
Oh, right. Okay, so it does spawn here where I put it, but as soon as you click it, you're going to start seeing it.
So it spawns where you put the duck, right? Where the cake slice was positioned prior. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so wherever the duck was, that was the center of your spawner. And it will work the exact same with the sandwiches as well. You'll actually find it very difficult to place the instanced objects one on top of each other perfectly. So you will be able to see them.
Okay. And Kritzloff is requesting to get instances of the coffee as well.
Yes, I will be adding the coffee too. Okay. So now we're actually, I'm gonna add it right now before we move on while we're still doing meshes. We're gonna go to my assets and no, that was my bad. We're going to Elements and Spawner. Yeah, sometimes you get little glitches like that. That's okay, you can just delete and re-import. Okay. The best way to do it is to exit the scene and just re-enter it. Okay. It's not a big deal, it's just, Okay, well, that's not really a problem. So I'm gonna paste my cup in there and resize it. And also rename it. Turn off snap again. Snap mode always activates whenever you leave and re-enter the scene. Just a little bit lower, I think. There we go. Perfect. And
there you have it.
Now we go back to our particle emitter. We're going to make it visible, and I already prepared, there it is, a little image for it. And again, we're just going to paste it in here.
There's a PNG?
There we go. Yeah, it's a PNG and it'll just automatically work. You don't have to set any other effects on it.
Parameters, yeah.
Yep, looks nice, so I'm going to make it a little bit big. Oh, no, too big. Maybe 16? Yeah, that looks okay to me. Or, no, okay, let's just make it a little bit smaller. So, yeah. I like that. I kind of want them to... I want the particles to spawn at an angle. So I'm just going to move it here. And yeah, that looks okay to me. I'm going to modify the particle size just a little bit. Let's say, actually, yeah, let's leave it on 1. And then maybe this. Yeah, that looks a little bit nicer. Okay, you can change the color of what you have as well, of the particles. I kind of like the the soft, mellow yellow of the image that I have, so I'm not going to tweak it here, but you could if you wanted to, and you can see it update in real time. There you go. I'm going to change it back to default. And yeah, I'm happy with it, so I'm just going to leave it for now. Move it out of the way. And I think we got to the slightly more complex stage now, and that is animation. So there's a few ways in which you can convert your FBX animation files into GLBs. A couple of them that I know are very complicated, and honestly, this is the easiest way I found how to deal with it. So I'm gonna save again. So what you do is you upload your animated FBX exported from Quill. Actually, should I do that now real quick to show the entire process?
It's up to you how you want to show it. Do you think it's best? Yeah.
Okay, so
it's up to you, yeah.
Okay, I do actually have a little tutorial on how to do that. I will probably link it with the recording.
Yep.
It's very detailed on how to do it, short and to the point. So what you do is you export from Quill as FBX with bake transforms and animation on, and then you upload to Sketchfab. And another thing that's worth noting there, the frame rate has to be 21 frames per second or lower, because actually, contrary to what you would think, my instinct was that 30 frames and upwards would work better. But no, from 24 onwards, it starts to glitch out. So 21 is the ideal frame rate for this. But if you have problems with it, you can experiment yourself. So what you do is you upload your model. In this case, it's this one here. As you can see, I did a lot of testing with it. So this is what it looks like in Sketchfab. And now there's 2 ways of importing this into your scene, and it all comes down to what you prefer. So one, you can make the model public, yep, and free for download. Then you save. This is important. It's important to be free for download and public. Okay, so is this one, Fire Loop. So we go back to it. We copy the link of it. I mean, its link. Then we go back to our scene. Select model. It'll just give you some default. Should be the default dock as well. I don't know why it's not loading right now. We're not gonna, yeah, we're gonna tick off walkable. We don't want it to be walkable. And then we just paste in the link. And yep, it's not going to show you the animation here, but you will be able to see it in the published scene. So that's one way to do it. It will work. And the other way to do it is, if you don't want your asset to be free to download and public, or yeah, if you don't want people to be able to work with your asset here, then what you do is you come here to edit model, and you download a GLTF, which will give you, it will give you a zipped file. Let me show you. It'll give you a zipped file like this, and it's going to have two objects, and one object and one bin. So what you do is you go here to GitHub to make GLB, and then you click on the link, and then you select the two objects that come in the zipped file, and you drop them in here. Yep, and it automatically downloads. Oh yes, of course, yeah. So the reason why that one was glitching is because it's the 30 FPS, and as you saw here, it's not very pretty. If we try it with the lower frame rate, hey, I don't know what that was there. We'll just remove everything and do it again. There we go. Yep, this should work nicely.
And you say it's 21 frames per second?
Yeah.
Why is it such a weird number?
I don't know. It actually took me a while to figure it out because I was so convinced in my head that it couldn't possibly be lower than 24 frames. There has to be something wrong. Yeah. Sometimes it'll look like it glitches for like a split second there, but it's actually fine whenever you publish it and everything. You shouldn't have any issues with it. But the reason maybe to avoid doing this is not because you can't do it, but because I'm going to close it so not to upset anyone's eyes. Okay, so the reason why you would preferably want to avoid this altogether, avoid a Quill animation in here, is because it does get very heavy. So let's go back to our folder there so I can show you what I mean. Oh, where'd my fire go? Ah, there it is. I think it was this one. Yeah, that one. Okay, so as you can see here, even though I have like the asset itself per frame is 1K polygons, but all the frames get read basically at the same time. So it counts every single one of them to the final polygon count, which means that the more frames you have, the heavier your object is going to be. So I think that's really important to keep in mind whenever you're designing objects that are animated for Mozilla Hubs. Maybe you can rig it or just go on a different path. But if you have something very bespoke that you want to have in your scene, then this is okay as well. It's acceptable. So if we go to save as well. Yeah. Okay. No walkable. I'm going to leave it in the scene so that you can see it whenever we publish.
That's a big fire.
Yeah, it's kind of big. So more acceptable, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. Yep, that looks great. I think that size works. So I'm gonna save again. And I think we can now publish. Let me double check to see if I covered everything. Oh, yep. Okay. Yeah. So there's a few other things you can do here. You can add a media frame into your scene, and you won't really be able to see that, but what it does is it allows people, once in the room, to sort of snap their objects to it. So it's like a space that will hold any GIFs or models or images or just whatever you want people to be able to pin in there. I'm not going to add any of this here because this scene in particular is not it's not like a conference scene, it's more like a hangout space.
So is it something like, for example, you have a room with a gallery and you make a picture grabbable, you can use that to let it snap back into position, or once you drop it in there?
Yeah, so once you put it in there, it pretty much just sits there.
Yeah.
And it just allows you to have a less messy experience of people sharing their assets or their their media. So I'm gonna get rid of it again, and let's try to import a little video. So I'm gonna go here, copy paste, and it should update. Yep. So now you can place this anywhere you want in the scene. Again, I'm not going to leave this in here for the specific scene.
Does that affect performance at all, or is it pretty lightweight?
It's pretty lightweight from what I've noticed. We're gonna go into a room that I set up where I have 5 different videos, but what you can do, it works fine, but now mind you, I never brought 20 people with me, so
yeah.
Okay, so you have other controls here, such as autoplay and loop, and what I would suggest is to turn off autoplay, regardless of how you set up the sound, because whenever you're in what do you call it? Whenever you're trying to load the scene, and you're in the home screen basically, and you're setting up your avatar and whatnot, and your name and all that stuff, sometimes if you have more than one video especially, you can sort of hear them all at the same time for a little bit, and it can be uninviting. So I would say turn off autoplay, but leave controls on, so people could be so people can actually play it or turn it off or stop it or whatever. And then again, you would have to set it to linear and to set up your distance here as well, if you wanted the music or the sound or whatever you have in the video to be affecting this area here. So I'm going to get rid of it. I don't need it. We don't need it in this scene. I just wanted to quickly talk about it. What else? Yeah, another thing you can do is add links. So for example, here, if you have another published room, you can just copy paste the link in here, and it's not going to update it at all. Not here. But it will show it to you whenever you go into the published scene. And I'm actually going to show it to you quickly as well. So I'm going to paste this in here, which is basically a different version of this room that we're building right now. I'm going to put it inside the tent. Let's see. And I'm going to save. Yep, and I think we covered all of the important points. Again, keep in mind that collidable and box collider and stuff like that, it doesn't mean that you can walk on the surface. So that's really important if you want to have areas where people can jump in or not. So here on this little asset that we have, little bit of ground, you are actually going to be able to walk through the tent, even though we have collidable on it. No, not that one. Scene base. Okay, so even though collidable is on, you'll still be able to walk through these surfaces, and that's because we have this whole mesh here that has the walkable attribute on it. So the floor plan just goes through it. What you would need to do to avoid that is just rebuild this with meshes like around around the tent, and then just set the walkable attributes there and not inside.
So the walkable will always prioritize any collisions.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we have everything we need in here to, yeah, we'll do a test. We have everything we need for a test. So we're gonna publish, and you can choose here whether you want people to be able to remix assets from your scene, or if you want your scene to be promoted by Mozilla. So I'm just gonna say, just to make sure which one it is. Okay, save. Okay, so this panel here will let you know if you need to make any adjustments, and it also lets you know about any restrictions you might have. So here, for example, we're fine with the materials. I don't think that's something you have to worry about with Quill stuff, unless you bring an enormous amount of things in here. Textures, again, we're actually not even using any there. The lights, yeah, as I said, it's only 3 lights that you're allowed to have in your scene. We're fine, we have just the one. And the file size, this is important because this is the cap. Where is it? Oh, it doesn't say it here. I do have it in the PDF that I prepared for people to be able to read more in depth. But anyway, we don't have to worry about here because I don't think you're going to reach the cap with the Quill scenes. The most important thing you have to be worried about is polygon count. So again, we are over the limit, but the limit is not a hard cap, so we can just publish. And now view your scene. And what you do is create a room with the scene. Oh, I can already hear the little background noise that I added. And as we can see, it allows us to test our microphone and everything. So I'm just going to enter like that. It's not going to be a problem. Okay, so as you can see, the fire works great.
Oh, wow.
It's not that bad. That's the scene that we can link to. I didn't line it up properly, but that's because I'm going to take it out. I'm going to remove it when we go back. Oh, yeah. It glitches a little bit when you're sort of looking away. But I suppose that's kind of normal with any platform. Yep, so as you can see now as well, what I was talking about before, the trees don't look so menacing in the browser sort of version, because they are being pushed just a little bit lower. Who is that?
Someone came in.
And left. Well, okay, I know it. It was definitely no one I know.
That's funny.
You sent us a link, we can join.
Yeah, we are going to all go in here together. I was just testing it now, but
That's funny.
I've been testing these many times before this stream, and never did anyone join me randomly. Where would they even get the link from?
No clue.
Anyway, so let's test our spawners as well. Yep. So sandwiches work and they disappear. And with the cake, we can just grab from here. So You won't see the cake slice itself whenever you hover your mouse over it, but you know there's something in there. It tells you by highlighting it, by highlighting the little point, making it blue, as you can see. And coffee works. Oh, okay.
Nice. You threw it into the tent.
Okay, new plan, food fight when we all come in. Yeah, I think it all works okay. Maybe let's adjust something. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go back and take this fire out. So it's important to note here that... What is going on? You can't kick people, but I think I know what's happening. Because it's just been published, I think it's getting, maybe it's being checked to see if it's like appropriate content or something.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. Yeah. I'm assuming, since we haven't been bothered yet. So, yeah, I'm going to take out the fire. But before we go, I need to copy the link so that we save it for later. I'm going to paste it in there and close this tab. We don't need it anymore, nor this one. So, okay.
Eric found it, the link.
What? Where did you find it?
Eric found the link. He just posted the link. Dude, Eric, like let Ruxandra run the class. Like that was like a surprise to go in together. Not yet.
Surprise. That's super cool. I like the room.
Oh,
But let's wait to get in there, guys, because the Ruxandra wanted to finish the stream first before we do that. So
I did save the link, and I'm going to close it now and go back to the scene. So what you do if you want to make any changes here is you just go back to your scene, and I'm going to delete the fire because it's too heavy. It's not worth it for what it does. I just wanted to show you the process of importing your animations because I think it's important. There are things that you can't really replicate in other software. I'm going to get rid of this as well because we don't need it. And then we save again, and then you publish. Okay. And the reason we saved the link from the invite button in the room is because we want to be able to access the same environment. And it will upload, it will update. So anything you change in here and then you publish again will update the scene that you already have. So we can go back to it.
Will it also update the link? Because now I think you have another link, right?
No, it's the same link.
Oh. Okay.
So you're still in there. Look, the scene has been updated. That's fine. And now you basically have this environment forever. And what you do, get ready for this, Eric. When you're done with the scene, if you want it to be available just temporarily, you go to close room. And it's important to close it because otherwise they just stay open. So, okay. And then you close room, and then that room is gone forever. But you can always go back to your scene and republish it. Publish it and then start a new room. And yeah, so you can have different instances that maybe you can send people, or you can have assets that are just temporarily available for people to explore in your browser. But pretty much this is it. This is the process. We've covered the static meshes, how to set up the scene, how to import our animations, 2 different ways. Whichever you prefer, it's down to you. Give some particles, a little bit of flair, music. Yep, we've covered it all.
super cool.
So are there any questions?
Thank you so much, Ruxandra. I don't see any questions in the chat.
I had a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Because you added a bunch of stuff to the scene, like say lighting and particles and interactive objects.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, you said the poly count should be around 50K.
Mm-hmm.
So if you chose to put less of those interactive things or lighting, could you get away with I don't know 100K, or is it going to lag anyway just because of the amount of polygons?
It's pretty much going to be the same if your polygon is higher. So what happens is that you don't really compensate, I think. Not from what I've noticed. I think that if you just have a lot of like a huge polygon count and big volumes and all of that, it will always be a problem the more you increase it, regardless of how many other lights and stuff you have in there. And that's because of the way that your models are being processed. And again, it's more noticeable on mobile, but even on PC, you can see it start to lag. So it's just good to keep it within or around, at least around 50K. But there's nothing preventing you from, duplicating this like 3 times and just publishing it and having a grand old time in the Mozilla Hubs room.
Yeah, thanks.
We were over the cap of polygons anyway before, and it seemed to work fine. But just generally, maybe best to work as optimized as you can. So I'm going to close this and then send out an invite. And if anyone can should join, we'll just have a bit of fun.
That's cool. I see Nicolad is like a weird ghost.
Yep. I tried to find the best avatar I could in 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think I'm a fox, right?
Yeah, you are. You look like it's great. You look like a fox in VR, so it's perfect.
Is anybody watching this in VR or is everybody in browser?
I'm in VR. Do you hear me?
Cool. Yeah.
1 second.
Sandra, this is amazing. It's so fast. Like,
Isn't it so easy to set it up, right?
it seems like it, yeah. It's pretty cool.
You can actually take pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah. And do emotes.
And do emotes.
You also can paint stuff here, right?
Eric is drawing all over the place.
Oh wow.
Okay.
It looks like the bat has like a laser vision.
How did you get the fireplace exported from Quill? Then you exported as a FBX and then use some other tool to create GLB?
Yeah, so from Quill you export as an FBX and then you import it in Sketchfab. And then you download the GLTF, which will basically give you a zipped file, as I showed before. And then I will link all the tools that I used today and that I went over. And I will also add a short tutorial on how to do that, specifically on how to turn your Quill animations into GLBs. Yeah, but basically, yeah, you then convert the 2 assets that come into the zipped file. You just drop and drag them into this converter that I'm going to link. And that basically gives you the GLB with animation. And you can use that on all sorts of platforms.
So you put them on Oculus Home, because I said maybe that would work. Was there any extra steps, or did they just go in pretty easily?
No, literally, I just took the GLB file that I got from the converter and just dropped it in the folder that you need. That's it. Nothing
Yeah,
else.
the biggest problem I had with putting stuff on Oculus Home was trying to match the scale. And there was a lot of trial and error to get the scale to work, but it was cool. And it's neat that it works with animation, because when I had tried, I couldn't get animation to work there.
Make you look ridiculous.
I can't be cornered.
It's so good how the mouse moves.
I wish I could see myself. I'm in a mirror here, Ruxandra.
1 second.
I'm you. Let me check.
Somebody can take my picture. Oh yeah, hold on. Here's the camera.
Oh,
Oh, it's good.
It's so hilarious that you're asking like a serious question.
Are you a candy corn?
Yes.
thank you everyone for coming. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and I hope to be invited in your Mozilla Hub rooms.